Hello, everyone. I'm happy to join you today in this great opportunity, and I hope for all of you a great achievement by the end of this camp. Okay, today my lecture is about the authorship, publication, and the copyright. Okay, as all of you know, the research is very important for the development of the science. Okay, so we need a research integrity to have a good plan for the research. The integrity of the research is very, very important. Okay, what is the integrity of the research? It is an active commitment to the ethical principle. As all of you know, we have ethics for the research, and we have regulation and guideline responsible from conducting the research. So how we fit this regulation and guidelines and the ethics is important for the objectivity of the research, and it is important for everyone to know to conduct a research who has a strong base. Okay, research integrity requires that the research process is governed by honesty, objectivity, and verifiable methods. Okay, and this is not all, but this is the most important thing. Any research should be conducted by the honesty, objectivity, and verifiable method. As all of you know, in the history, we have many cases of the misconduct of the research. So the misconduct of the research is a backflash and leading to a black area in the research. So we don't need to repeat the same experience like Tuskegee's study. This Tuskegee study is done for the black men, and it is the objectivity of this research is to know what is the normal pathogenesis of the syphilis and the process of the syphilis by years. So the researchers, they didn't give the patients the treatment, although the treatment is there at that time, and this is a big problem, and it is a misconduct of the research. So we should be honest with the patient, we should be objective, and we have a verifiable method. This Tuskegee study lead other authors which are good to have guidelines for the research and to have the ethics for the research. Okay, the practice of the conducting of the research usually differ from the country to country, or even from one institution to the other institution in the same country. So we should have a shared value. The shared value, as I said for you, is honesty, accuracy, efficiency, objectivity, confidentiality of the patient, of the institution, and the responsible publication for the research finding. The research integrity help the patient safety and also the author's confidentiality and it is action. Okay, how we conduct the integrity in the research in the all stages of the research processes. You know, the research process start with a question. I have a question, I need to answer it, I will make a research to know the answer. So from the planning to do the research and the practicing and implementation for these and interpretation of the your result, and then reporting the writing and publication, all through all this process you should be committed to the guidelines and to the research integrity. Okay, so it starts before the research process is started, and all of you should be aware of the professional conduction of the research, especially for your institution, for your country. Okay. So what about the authorship? The authorship, who's we said this is authorship. Who has the credit of authorship? The authorship is attributed to person who have substantially and intellectually contributed to the study and to the scientific report. So I couldn't say this is the authorship who is not doing nothing in the research. So the one who have authorship credit should be a person who have a contribution in the study and the scientific report. This is the first thing. And according to the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, this committee of editors, they edit the researches, they guide the persons for the normal guidelines and regulation. The authorship provided for individuals' contribution to a research study. So it is different from person to person. As for example, we are group doing the research, so there is one doing the most of the research. So this authors should be introduced in the first authorship, and there is one who supervising, guiding, senior. This should be the last author. So we should know who is crediting this name. Not all who contribute in our research we said they are authors. For example, if we have a company giving us the cost of the research, the budget of the research, helping us in the material, but they didn't conduct the research by themselves, we couldn't say this is the authors. No, we can acknowledge them, we can make anything, but we didn't say they are the authors. There is no universally accepted standard for the authorship assignment. I recommend for all of you to know your own institution guideline, your country guideline of the authorship, to know, because there is many problems happen in who is the author. So from the start, we should know our institution authorship regulation. So the criteria for the authorship, based on the ICMGE, and here International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, to be the author, you should contribute in the research process. Okay, study design, the main concept, data acquisition, data analysis, interpretation of the result finding, like that. The second thing is substantial work on drafting or reviewing the scientific report with important intellectual contribution. And not this all, provide final approval for the version to be published, and then you will be responsible and accountable for all aspects related to the integrity of the published work. And this is the responsibility, because if this research has misconduct, has falsification, fabrication, plagiarism, or anything inside your research is not good, you will be one who is responsible from that. So the author should be responsible from all aspects, the good and the bad things, and they should prepare themselves for justification. Actually, as I said here, after the manuscript submission or publication, so for example, we have a first author, second author, corresponding authors, the last author, and so on, and the research now is finished. We need to publication. In this time, any change in the authorship order, for example, the first one will be the third one, it is not an easy thing. We should justify for the journal editors why we do like that. So the agreement for this change, if we need to change the first author by second, or second by first, or whatever, we need a request agreement from all listed authors, even the authors not we want to add them or to remove them. When it will happen really in that time of that one of the author, he assumed to be the first one, but he has something happen suddenly or urgently. He didn't conduct the research for any reason. So the second one take over the work. So it will be, there is a change. We remove the first author and we put the second one at the first one. So we need agreement from the second one and the first one. According to the American Psychological Association, the people who funding the resources of the project, they didn't participate well in the report. They not necessarily qualify for the authorship. Okay, so all of you should have this basic knowledge. The one who funding or making resources and doesn't contribute by itself in the research, we didn't necessarily qualify them for the authorship. We can acknowledge them, we can put them in the manuscript text as what they do. What they do, we will say and put it in the manuscript. We have many types, as I said, for you for the authorship. The first authorship, this is the main researcher. For example, the student who making a PhD. The first authorship, the student, and the last authorship, the supervisor. Okay, so the main researcher and the main writer of the article, and this person is responsible from writing the first draft of the paper. I have, for example, one of you have a question, have an idea for the research, making drafting, writing the proposal at the first, and then make it and put it on the hand of supervisor. This is the first authorship. The last authorship is the author who contributes with his experience and guidance. This person is usually the senior researcher, okay, who critically revise the manuscript, assuring research is a good quality. And the research report system is based on the publication guidelines, because if you do a research and make a costly research and do a lot of work, and at the end it is not met the publication guidelines, so you will feel very, very disappointed. So from the start, your supervisor guide you, you should change this, you should make this is not met the publication guidelines, and so on. Also, the last author, we can say call him corresponding author. Even the first author, we can call him corresponding author also. Okay, what is the corresponding author? The corresponding author who the person submit the paper to journal, and he has a responsibility to review and answer reviewer if the reviewer need from you clarification of the methods, of the result, of the data analysis, of the sample size. So you are ready to do that because you are contributing in detail. And this corresponding author, we put a detailed information of his contact detail. Why? Because the reviewer who want to review your paper will contact you, and you should justify what you do and what you didn't do and why, all of this. So it is not administrative role of the corresponding author, but it also giving you sign of seniority, because that I said for you, the last author, we may call him a corresponding author. Okay, there is authorship, we call it gift or honorary authorship. Those they didn't contribute in the manuscript and the research project, like the someone who has a power and prestige rather than for intellectual and substantial contribution. This one has a good sound in the research field, so I will put this authorship in my paper to be strong, to have a publication earlier, and so on. This is not good, and it is just not endorsed by most of the medical journals, and even in the International Committee of Medical Journal Editor, they will not accept like this authorship. Okay. The ghost authorship, this is a misconduct of the research. If you are very busy, and if, for example, the company found one who write in a nice way, so it hires someone to write the paper. So we call it ghost. It is a ghost, really. So he know nothing about the research. He know nothing about what we do, and just he write. So it is very not acceptable. Okay. There is other one, we call it coercion authorship. This, for example, your head of the department demands from you to put him as the authorship in all your manuscript, and this is usually happen in a senior researcher forcing a junior research to include a gift or guest author in the manuscript. or forcing the junior to have a specific authorship order. No, I need to be the first one. No, I need to be the last one. So it is not just wishes. It is just like what you do to be the first one, what you do to be the last author, what you do to be corresponders. So it is just a reflection of what you do. We have group authorship. It is very nice. For example, we have a large number of authors, so they name a group and create it, and this group include every author who contribute in his work, and we found the author name in the article text. So it is good because we couldn't write like 100 author or 50 author, and this happen in multi-center trial. If you have a trials in multi-central part. The other one is mutual support and admiration authorship. This is just also, it is not agreed by the ICMGE. It is like, for example, your friends or colleague who want to rapidly increasing their number of publication agree to list each other name in their own publication. I have a research and my friend have a research also. So I put the name of my friend in my research without contribution of him. And I will and he will put my name in his research. This is mutual authorship. This is happen when you need to increase your publication, to promote from associate, from assistant to associate, from associate to full professorship, and so on. And this is really not ethical. The author sequence, the first one, second one, middle one, the last one, it is should be according to the contribution. If you determine the first and the last, the middle authors, regardless to their number, they should be alphabetically. So you should say in your manuscript they are ordered alphabetically, or if you have one doing more work than other, you can start by him first. Authorship dispute, this is not an easy task, and most of the time we have a dispute, confliction. No, I need to be the first one. No, I need to be the second, and so on. So in most cases, this dispute happen. And why? Because it is not an easy to define whether someone's contribution was substantial or not. You have no a solid justification. Yes, I do more work than you. So it is generally to reduce this dispute and confliction. We need all potential authors in the project discuss this authorship order with one who is the principal investigator. Okay, and the second thing, you should agree about the responsibilities, role, before you do the research. Before you do the research, it is very good to take a direct meeting face to face, and you know by your name, yes, Sarah for this, Ahmed for this, and so on, and you agree this responsibility. But this is not all, because the research is not conducted yet. So after we start to do the research, something may change. For example, Sarah may have any circumstances and she couldn't continue, or she do the work but not complete it. So Ahmed complete her work. So we need to order to reorder the authorship at this time. So the gate is open for renegotiation if the responsibilities change, or if there is someone missed and doesn't contribute for any reason, and so on. The second thing which reduce the dispute is the checklist. We have a checklist for the research. We do the study design at the 2nd of December. We complete it at the 30th of December, and we do like that, like that. So the checklist facilitate and clarify the responsibilities of the research project, and every now and then you should come and meet again and see what is done, what is not done, who is working this time and who is working in the next stage. So all of us, we are very, very clear for all of us what happened during the process of the research. Okay. Coming to the manuscript writing, before you end the manuscript writing, this is the time also to again discuss the issue of the authorship. And important to ask, have all investigators fulfill their contribution according to what they agree upon initially? If Sarah doing the study design or not, if Ahmed doing like that, is X doing his work, what is agreed upon initially. And the second question, has the scope of the project changed? Because, for example, we have a new drug, we need to make a research in some patient. So we find adverse effect, a very serious side effect of this new drug. We need to stop this research. We need to stop the study. So the process of the research is changed, and then we will end the result and making like data sensitivity analysis and so on, and make the result in the middle of the study. We need to change the authorship because some authors, we need them to do the sample size, to do the result, and so on. So the authorship will change if your research is changed due to any reason. Okay. So okay. The manuscript writing and the submission, it is the final step of the research project. Okay. طيب, why the investigator need to publish their result? Actually, not just to inform the scientific world about your work, but also this data we need to distribute it in the world and find a new project. For example, I know the ACE inhibitor is good in prevention of renal and proteinuria in diabetic patients. But at the end of my study, I observed the ACE inhibitor is also important in other scope. So I make my research and study design just to know the relation between the proteinuria and ACE inhibitor. But my observation give a new student or a new researcher a new idea and can bring a new project. And by that, we make recruitment of the science and development of the clinical practice and so on. It is very, very nice to have when using your research to make another idea. It is very useful for him. So we need like that. Okay. Also, publishing paper is very necessary for your career development and important criteria for promotion. You will not be a full professorship without papers. Okay, there is challenge to the manuscript publications. The challenge comes from writing. We should write according to what journal guidelines do so, and due to submission process. Because the manuscript writing should be in the same style. You and me and the others should have the same style. Why? Because when we submit for the journal reviewer or editor should see the same style, so it will be very helpful to compare the information between the studies, and it will be very easy if he knows the style and the order. What is the style common used? We call it IMRAD. I for introduction, and then we go through material and method. M, R for the result, and D for discussion. Okay, this is a standard format for the presentation of your data. So if you do your manuscript by other way, it will be difficult for who's want to review your research. But if you do through this style, it will be very easy. Yes, his introduction is here, his discussion will be in the last, so I will see the research in 5 minutes. But if you do improper style and order, we will have difficulty to review your paper, and the rejection may come from this. So this is a standard style. Okay. So important questions to consider as you write your manuscript is, for which audience are your research question and finding most relevant? Whose audience you want to make this research for them? Pediatric, adult, geriatric, scientific, مثلا geographical, engineering. So there is many areas. So who's your audience is important for your research question. And the second thing, how do your finding add information to what we already know? For example, you do research, but this research is already done. We already know the result. So you did nothing. So we need something new, innovative to proceed on. We don't need a repetition. So what is the gap of the knowledge and how you fill this gap? Okay, this is very important. And then, could your finding change the medical practice? And if so, how? I will make like that, like that, like that. And if I find this result, it will help my patient a lot. So you have a justification for your research question. We don't do a research question just for making a research. No, we should know the specifications, the objectiveness, the importance of my research question, the gap knowledge, and how I fill the gap, and how I will affect the career, how I contribute in development of the field, of my field. Okay, the answer to this or question, making the journal easier to edit your work and to submit your work. So if you didn't answer this question, you might find a difficulty in publication of your paper. Okay. The key to successful publishing manuscript is high impact factor. High impact factor is the journals have impact factor. Okay, this impact factor giving you a clue about the quality of data that demonstrated an important message. Okay, we should be clearly presenting this message. Sometimes the author need to make things complicated and more difficult. No, the research is not an art of the complexity. No, if you be simple and give your message by a simple way, it will be a very informative. So don't complicate things. Okay, and choose the right journal. If you have molecular medicine research in the molecular medicine, publish your research in the molecular journals. Don't go to other journals and put your paper, and they will not understand you or reject you. So it is the art to know what is journal fitting my research best. The title. The title of your research is the business card of your manuscript. This is how catch the curiosity and the interest of your audience. So the title can be simple, can be more complicated, can be simple, but it is creative. So it is best to be simple and creative. We doesn't like or dislike the complexity in the research. Coming to the abstract, although it is a short summary, but everyone reads the abstract, and it is your best chance to attract the reader. So the editor and reviewer base their first impression of your manuscript on the abstract. If your abstract is good and perfect, this good impression. So it should be very succinct. And word limit. We have a problem of wordiness. The author write a lot of word. They assume by that they make a good thing. No, the good thing is to be simple, clear, and direct. Okay. The introduction. It is your opportunity to win over the reader of your paper, and also explain the motivation for doing that research. Why I do this research? Because I read this and this, and in the past they have to do like that, but there is gap of the knowledge. I want to fill this gap. This is a good justification. The second thing, how you want to feel. And in the last paragraph, you can say your study design. The introduction shouldn't be more than 3 paragraphs, really, because it is not a literature review. It is just opportunity to give the motivation for doing that research. Materials and method, the reviewer you need to stop here, and any error in the material and method or lack of the clarity result in your paper rejected. Okay, so here in the material and method, you need to demonstrate the scientific validity of your research. Is it valid? This research, is it valid or not? Result. طبعا report your finding, just don't doing any weirdness, don't make a lot of sentences just by table graphs and so on. So establish a chronological sequence, and may you use the same order in the method. If you write in the method I will do this and then this and then this, the result also should be in the same order. The discussion is very very important, and by the discussion you interpret the result. So what is the end of your research? What is the final of your research? It is in the discussion. How I can make the structure of the discussion? First of all, make a summary of the main finding. Then compare of your result with your colleague in the literature, and justify the difference and why there is difference and like that. Then you should describe the limitation. If you have something negative in your research, this is happen naturally. You shouldn't hide it. You should say, I have a study limitation because, for example, I have a dropout, a large an increasing number of dropout. Many patients, they are dropped from the study because that the sample size is resized again, and for example like that. So what is happen and what is negative in your study, you should say it and you shouldn't hide it. And even I want you to know something, even if the result is negative, it gives us information and lead us to know about the science. Because if there is no relation, for example, but there is relation actually, but this is example, but there is no relation between reducing proteinuria and ACE inhibitor. It is negative result, but I know that, so I will not subscribe for the patient ACE inhibitor because he will not use it and will not be helpful. So the negative result is strong like the positive result. Also, in your discussion, should be ended stating what is the significance of your result. I end by founding that there is relation between the warfarin and for example increase the anti between the warfarin and the DVT مثلا. For this conclusion, you should know what is the significance of your result. Is it significant? Is it addition for what has happened in the past, or some just repetition? The publication processes, you should make the manuscript and put it in the hand of reviewers. Those reviewers should be honest, should be fair, but sometimes the reviewer unfair, actually. This is a real word. And the second thing, the reviewer should has no payment. There is no payment for the reviewer, because if the reviewer take money, they may change the result. So the reviewer should be very honest, very safe, and related to the institution, because the institution giving you a scientific background. Also, publication process depend on the X factor of science. As I said, for you, any journal has a factor. The high impact factor, that means how recognized research is, how recognized a journal is. Is it very popular? Is the researcher doing many paper and become popular, and we know his honesty and like that. So if we have high impact journal, we have a difficulty in publication more, but we should try to optimize ourselves. Okay. If you choose one of the journal, for example, a PPCR journal or any journal, if you make your decision and choose a journal, go directly to their website and download the instructions to authors. These instructions help you to finalize your manuscript, because they said for you, for example, in the introduction, we need from you like 100 word, not more than 100 word, not more than 70 word, not more. So they will guide you how to write your manuscript, and you should follow them by details. So, if you want to submit your manuscript, you need to make a cover letter. What is the cover letter? It is a brief state about the main finding of your manuscript and why you think it should be published in this journal. So, also in the cover letter, if you are your work reviewed by one who is expert, put his name, because this will help to know your state well, and help you to not reject it. What is the possible outcome? Now I do manuscript and I will endorse them for the reviewer for the publication. We have many possibilities. The first one is acceptance without revision as it is. This is طبعا good, but it is rare. The possible acceptance, the second chance is more common scenario, is we will accept it, but after revisions. And they say for you, you should revise the data, you should revise the study design, you should revise the writing style, and so on. Sometimes there is minor revisions doable, but sometimes with major revision we couldn't do it, and we need a new research. So if your manuscript is reviewed and rejected, don't be disappointed, and try to evaluate and review what is negative in your study, and try to improve your manuscript and submit to another journal. Sometimes the author said the journal decision is not fair and like that, so you can contact the journal and make appeal and why. But most of the appeal are not successful, really. The most common reason, we should know the reasons for rejection to avoid them. صح? So the most common reason for rejection are the study design related problem. If you ask me what is the important thing in the research, I will say for you study design. If you design your research in a great way, you will not face any problem all through the research. But if the study design is not good, is not perfect, you will face many barriers, many difficulties, and you may end with costly research without outcome. Okay. The second about the sample size, too small, or there is a bias, and so on. There is problem in method selection or like that. تمام. So you should be careful. Regarding the writing style, the reviewer has main problem in wordiness. Don't make a lot of word. Simple word, easy. Less word is very informative. How I can make a report? We have a guidelines to assess our strengths and weakness, because the research is a large field. So we need to assess the strengths and weakness of this research. We need to know the quality of the publication, because that we have many guidelines. Like a consort is very important for randomized control trial, which is the most important one. The strobe for observational study and all of that, like moves for meta-analysis. And you know the meta-analysis is in the top of the rank of the studies coming after that, the RCT and so on. Why meta-analysis? Because the meta-analysis, it is about many studies. It may be RCT studies, so it is the best one. So if you open in website the consort report, it guide you how to write. In the introduction, we should do like that, like that, like that. In the study design, you should say how you can manage the dropout, because most of the research problem, the dropout, you have 100 patients in the start, in the end you end maybe by 50 patients. So the dropout, making a change in sample size, making change in the p-value, and you will end with an inappropriate result. So how you can manage missed data, how you can manage like this, you should be strong. And I hope all of you to be a great researcher and great development of the science by you. And thank you for your attention. And I hope meet you in the other sessions. Okay. So now I will stop recording, and goodbye.